Now that I've completed Doom: The Dark Ages, I can now officially confirm that the rebooted Doom trilogy is easily one of the best trilogies for any first-person shooter franchise I've ever experienced. Well, what's up there, guys? Brian here, D3 Topics. I'm here to share with you my official review for the latest entry in the Doom franchise, this one being titled Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, going into 2025, this was easily my most anticipated game of the year. Ever since they revealed its trailer, I was stoked for this game because I really had a lot of fun playing the prior two Doom games, especially Doom 2016. And now that I've actually finished beating it, while I'll say it's not as mind-blowing as I had hoped it would be, and it definitely took a number of odd choice directions, I did have a lot of fun with this game, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's interested or hasn't played it already, because this game really is awesome. So if you do happen to enjoy this review by the end, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep track of me on all my future videos. And remember, if you guys have any ideas for any rankings, reviews, or just discussions you'd like me to go over in general, please let me know what you'd like to see in the comments down below, and I will try to get it to you as soon as I can. And make sure you press the subscribe button if you haven't already. So I'm going to start off with going over the one department that I think is kind of the one that most people don't seem to care much about when it comes to the Doom franchise, and that is its story. And although you do not play Doom games for its story, if you happen to pull it off, I think that's a positive. The main plot of Doom: The Dark Ages takes place long before the events of Doom 2016, and centers around the conflict between the Night Sentinels and the forces of Hell. Now, the leader of the forces of Hell goes by the name Prince Ezeract, who launches an attack on the Night Sentinel forces in order to seek an artifact called the Heart of Argent, which will grant him incredible power. Now, each time the situation begins to look really bad for the Night Sentinel forces, the Doom Slayer, who is currently under the control of the Makers, is launched in order to push the forces of Hell back. Now, over the course of the game, there are plenty of twists and turns and definitely a couple surprises, and a real sense of desperation at times for the Night Sentinels. There's a serious amount of badass moments that really stand out within this franchise, and much to my surprise, there's actually a good amount of heart and emotional that I never would have expected from a franchise like Doom to pull off. Now, the game goes pretty heavy on the lore department when it comes to the main conflict in a way that was much easier for me to understand than it was in Doom Eternal, and because of that, I easily would consider that this game has the best plot of any Doom game that I've played to date. Now, again, as I said before, most people do not play Doom for its story. Totally understandable. And I think in my personal experience, I felt that the story for Doom Eternal was a little bit too confusing for me to understand, and that's really not the case for Doom: The Dark Ages. I think that it certainly has the most story elements that are kind of, not say dumbed down, but it's kind of explained enough that it's fully fleshed out. There's a number of characters for the Doom Slayer to interact with. There's actually an antagonist who actually has plans and kind of goes through ups and downs, and it's very easy to follow. I think my biggest issue with the story is I think that because they try to do so much and they try to drag it out, it adds too many chapters for this game. Now, as I recall correctly, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal both have 13 chapters. This game has 22, and even looking back on it, I always felt that was a bit too much. This game could have easily stripped out 6 chapters, which I don't really think really progressed the story and hit the sweet 16 mark, and I think that would have been a good amount because there are different gameplay styles that they did add in this game that I think do add to the story, but I just think that they did take a couple of elements and stretch them out. Now, again, I think that out of all of the more recent Doom games, this game absolutely does have the best story. But again, most people don't play Doom for story, but heck, I'm a story-driven gamer, and if you happen to have a good story, that's a plus in my opinion. And out of all the Doom games, this one definitely does have, in my opinion, the best story out of the 3 main games. Gameplay is absolutely fun. Absolutely fun. If you played the first 2 Doom games, Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, you're going to have an absolute blast. You're going to be able to adapt to everything that you will have access to in this game. There are so many weapons. There are so many tools and so many weapons and so many extra powers. There's so many options. And heck, even the customization system for this game is very expansive. This is a very friendly game. There's so many elements and aesthetics and even how the control and how the game works that you can customize to fit your particular play style. Now, when it comes to the level design, I did have a problem with a number of the levels that I think could have been taken out, which is why I think that had this game lost like 6 levels, it would have worked. There were several levels that don't, for most of Doom games, you're kind of going through like a facility or you're going through a specific area. But there were a number of levels in this game that are completely open, and it simply has you to go to like specific locations, kill the enemy, and then that is the mission. And I kind of felt like there were too many of those. I think this game could have dealt without those. Now, again, I really did like absolutely the different styles of gameplay in terms of not just only other first-person shooter sections. There's you being able to fly your dragon that helps you get to different locations that you can then explore. And then there's the mech sections, which I also really enjoyed. But again, I really wish that some of the level structure had been a little bit more traditional. And there are plenty of those missions in this game, but I just kind of felt like the ones that felt like giant arena game, like arena maps. This game probably could have used less of those. I just felt like I played through way too many, and it kind of felt a little bit repetitive. Also, I think when it comes to the guns are always a major plus, but I do think that there were almost too many guns that were too similar. Over the course of the game, for example, you'll get like one type of gun, and then you'll get like a better version of the same gun, and then you'll have like no reason to go back to the original gun. So I was just thinking, okay, why did you even get me that first gun to begin with if you knew you're going to give me a gun that operates exactly the same way but better? I just kind of felt like the weapon choice was just a little bit too expensive. They could have cut down, they could have taken like 3 or 4 guns, and I think you would have had a good variety of weapons to follow. On top of that, I do think that the pairing system with the shield is a little bit overused. I mean, it is absolutely essential that you get good at using this shield and deflecting specific attacks back at your enemies in order to survive. I mean, trust me, if you're playing on a very hard difficulty as I was, you will lose life and armor like nothing if you are not good at this pairing system. And I do think that it was simply a little bit too heavy reliant in order to get through some of the harder sections. And I just wish that the game hadn't focused too well on that. Trust me, the shield is a good addition. I just wish you weren't so I just wish you didn't have to be so reliant on it. And I think they could have found a way around that. When it comes to Doom the Dark Ages visuals, this game is absolutely stunning to look at, and being set during a kind of Dark Age era really helps to give this game a specific look and allows it to stand apart from the 2 previous installments in this franchise. Now, me playing on the PlayStation 5, it ran incredibly smooth with no drop in frame rate at any time, but there is one element that I do believe was seriously lacking this time around, and that was the soundtrack. Now, Doom in the last 2 previous games, the music was very effective in adding to the overall intensity that the battles that you will find yourself engaged in really helps. But for some reason, the game's music just felt really off this time around. Now, there are a couple of okay tracks in this game, but you can definitely tell that they took a massive step back in terms of the soundtrack. I did hear that they changed artists for some reason, like there might have been some sort of dispute, and it really shows. Now, again, it doesn't really hurt my overall experience, but like having that heavy metal soundtrack playing during the gameplay or when the action is really intense really adds to the experience. And there were a number of times throughout my playthrough of Doom the Dark Ages where the music would kick in and I'm not really feeling it. And sometimes I even found myself putting on my own music while playing through these sections in order to kind of get the blood pumping and kind of get me in the mood to be going through these really difficult shootout sections with these demons that are coming in all these different directions and me just shooting them down left and right while moving very fast around the map and staying on the move. So I do think that the music for the most part was a bit of a downer in my opinion. Now overall, this was still a fantastic game despite its flaws. I had a lot of fun playing Doom the Dark Ages, and I've already done my ranking of all the Doom games, and I would say that out of these primary 3 of this current trilogy, I would probably say that Doom the Dark Ages probably took the number 2 spot behind only the 2016 Ages, which in my opinion is like the perfect Doom game. Now if I had to give Doom the Dark Ages a rating, I think the highest I could give it is probably an 8.5. I just think the thing that kind of holds it back from being like a 9 or 9.5 is just too many levels. I think some of the level design and the very unimpressive music. I think those 3 elements just kind of hold it down from being just a little bit less exciting, but this is still a fantastic game and a great addition to anyone who's a fan of the Doom franchise. So that is my review for Doom the Dark Ages. If you have had a chance to play this game, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you guys next time.